You wanted to see what my first retro gaming console was? Well, let's do it!
I love my dad. My dad.
What was Steve Smith's first retro gaming console from 1986? Whew! I wanted to share this with you guys. I talk about Skylanders a lot, but you know what? I have so much more to share with you guys. You know, stuff I've kept when I was a little youngster. And I thought this would be perfect, you know, to share with you guys. Something I've kept, you know, booked away in the shelves for years. And I'm here to share it with you guys. So anyways, in 1986, how old was I? What? 12, 13 years old? You can do the math. Back then there wasn't all these... Back then it wasn't no Xbox versus PlayStation. It wasn't no Wii U versus the Dreamcast or the... I know they're totally different years, but you know what I'm saying. Back then, what was battling competitiveness against each other in 1986 was the Sega Master System versus Nintendo. Now a little history behind me in case you didn't know. I was an Air Force brat. If you don't know what an Air Force brat is, it's a kid that hangs out, or that hangs. I'm just gonna hang out with my mom and dad. No, that is in an Air Force family, and they basically go all over the world because that's what, you know, the military does. They send their families everywhere. Well, I used to live in Okinawa, Japan for 6 years. So from 11 to about 16 years old, Steve Smith was hanging out in Okinawa. And during that time, I wish I could relive it. Oh my God, stuff like this, the toys that I got that I still want to show you guys from it for another video. And just the time that I had there was perfect for a young teenager. Every day I went off base, I got to find new stores that I'd never seen before because they're so packed over there with all the stores and the housings and everything. I got to find stores from like toy stores to game stores, arcade stores. A lot of you kids don't even know what arcades are. Well, boys and girls, arcades are places you would go to where they have lots of arcade machines. Now you see some arcades when you go to the malls and stuff like that. But no, Japan had some arcade stores. Woo! Get your quarters out. It's going to be a long day. But we're not here to talk about arcades. We're here to talk about what I owned for my very first console gaming. It was the Sega Master System in 1986. And let me tell you, when this thing came out, I mean, nowadays they got consoles and stuff coming out all the time, so it just doesn't mean, oh, Xbox One's coming out. I don't have an Xbox One, I don't have a PS4, but I do have a PS3. Plays fine. It's good. But you got to remember, you got to kind of think about this, boys. You weren't even born. Some of you guys weren't even born then. You know what I mean? Your parents were probably in college or something. Who you weren't even thought of when this thing came out. So there was nothing like this. I mean, they had Atari, but you know, Atari had one button and a controller. But when they came out with the Sega Master System with 2 buttons, 2 buttons, you gotta be kidding me. It's funny though, because if I went back in time and I showed myself or anybody these controllers, I would be flipping out. Let's just count how many buttons are on a controller these days, just on a PlayStation 3 controller. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got the analog buttons you push, right? 10. Oh, don't forget about the start. 10, 11, 12 buttons on one controller. 12. Not to mention the directional pads. 12 buttons compared to 2 buttons. Kids, you would have. So this is all we had, boys and girls, back in the day, were 2 little buttons. And that was perfectly fine. We were amazed. We were blown away. But I wanted to show you guys the games that I came across. You know, not really me. My parents, they'd buy them for me for Christmas or birthdays or whatever it is. And it's not a huge collection, but it's enough for me to be appreciative of the system. And speaking of the system, unfortunately, it does not work. The games obviously are okay. But the system, for some reason, the power supply, I lost the AC adapter. And I even went out and bought some off-brand, but it's not working. I'm not for sure if the system is broke. I mean, I could just pick one up really cheap. I think they're really cheap on eBay. But and these things, my iPhone almost weighs more than this. Really, really light. But anyways, let's get into the type of stuff that came with the Sega Master System. We all gun, right? I put back in the day. I put a little Velcro, little patch there because I don't know. I put it on my desk or something, smashed it there. And when they came out with the extra controller, that got to I put some Velcro straps on there, so I got to play like this. Oh, did I think I was cool? Did I think I was cool? I thought it was a joystick at an arcade machine. Yeah, so that was pretty cool little adapter. And can you believe in 1986, probably around 1987, a couple years later, they came out with 3D glasses. How many games do you know right now are 3D? Not too many. So that's pretty cool that you can think about in 1987, 86, they came out with 3D. They look like cataract glasses. So here I am. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. And what kind of games came out with 3? And I lost the other little earpiece here. But yeah, to think that these big old cataract glasses were 3D, and they worked pretty darn good, I might say so myself. But yeah, what kind of games did they come out with for 3D? Here we go. One of my games, Missile Defense in 3D. It was pretty cool. The art on the boxes for these were pretty much all the same. They had the little crisscross art. I mean, to think about all the games now, this is pretty generic for the art on these boxes. But at the time, we didn't care. We just wanted. And like I said, this came out during the time of Nintendo versus Sega, and all my friends went Nintendo. So I went against the grain like I usually do, and I went ahead and got the Sega. So I, out of all my friends, was the Sega Master System dude. So everyone came to me to play some Sega. But everyone, you know, everyone else had the Mario. Everybody else had the Zelda. I don't want that. I wanted to go against. I wanted to get the Alien Syndrome. You guys know about Alien Syndrome? What about Enduro Racer? Enduro Racer. What about RC Grand Prix? What about Action Fighter? What about Alex Kidd in Miracle World? What about Rescue Mission? You used the gun with this, and you shot, and you were shooting all the people that were coming after the medics that were rescuing people. I thought that was really fun. One of my favorite games, Time Soldiers, was so cool. So cool. What about Zion? Zillion 2? Sure I'm saying that's right. Zillion 2. What about, this is another 3D game, Zaxxon 3D. Talked to a coworker yesterday, said, you don't know nothing about a Zaxxon 3D using Sega Master 3D glasses? He said, what? I said, yeah, say that 3 times. He said, no, just say it once. See, people are uninterested on what it was back in the day of how it all started, man. Nintendo, Sega Master System, the Ataris, these are so cool, man. It's just like, you know, some of you kids will never, ever be able to experience this because you're just, you know, you're too worried about all the new graphics and everything. Now, granted, some of the iPad games are better than these games, but it's just cool to look back where it started, you know what I mean? You can have fun with Atari games till this day. Anyways, American Pro Football. This looks like a wannabe Madden football. Oh, one of my very first basketball games was so awesome because it was called Basketball Nightmare, and you could be like wolves, and they had all kinds of, I think they had some ghosts in there, zombies. Yeah, it was so awesome. You got to pick your team, and yeah, it was really cool. Brings back some good old memories for Daddy. Raston, not sure. It looks like a Conan the Barbarian game. Side scroller, jump, hack and slash. A little bit of Pitfall going on in there, holding on to stuff. This is like a, you know, like a Castlevania type game, but with Conan. And then I'll talk about this in a minute. Rambo 3, little side scroller shooter. Gangster Town, because I'm a gangsta. I believe that was also a shooter game. And Bank Panic, another shooter game. So, you know, we didn't have no first-person shooters, you know. We had this. This is what we had. The real shooting. That's what we had. Anyways, this is a game that I actually, anytime I think about my Sega, that doesn't work. Anytime I think about that, this is the game that pops up in my mind. I can't even pronounce it. Golvellius. Golvellius? Valley of Doom. It was my first... I didn't have Zelda, so this was my Zelda. And I went to the first level, beat the big old snake boss in the end, come out to the big open desert world. I start searching around, and wouldn't you know it, one of the quests is to find a big blue rock. And 50,000 years later, I still have never found that blue rock. They didn't have YouTube back then. They didn't have strategy guys back then, so you didn't know what to do, and nobody else was playing Sega, so nobody else could tell me what to do. But anyways, I never found it. But still, the graphics in this and the little, just the mysterious worlds that they had in here was really awesome. But yeah, man, I just wanted to show you guys my Sega Master System and what it meant to me. And, I had lots of fun times. And if you do have a Sega Master System, you may not know about this, but there is a secret game inside of here. If you take out the cartridge, you push start, and I don't know what the code is because it's been so long, but there's something you push on here. It's not the XXYZ because there's only 1, 2 buttons, and it's numbered 1 and 2. Go ahead online, check it out. But there's something on here, and I believe it's a secret game that's hidden in here. And it's like a snail maze type game. You have to get a snail through a certain, in case you didn't know that, there you go. You got yourself a free game. Go check out what the code is online. I didn't even do that. I haven't checked it out. But someone told me on the bus from the ride home one day from school. I said, no, what? I got a free game? Got home, and I was like, come on, whatever the code was at the time. It came up. It was sweet. So whoever gave me that, you're not watching this, of course, but thank you so much. And now, I wanted to leave off with this. What's in the background now? You're going to see a game that really started gaming for me. Even though I had this is what started the gaming for me hardcore. And even though I don't have Super Nintendo no more, and I don't even have a regular Nintendo, but this is what happened in Okinawa, Japan. Well, boys and girls, when you're not doing anything during the summer, your parents will say, see ya, go out there and get a job. It's called summer hire. You worked with the military people. And I was working at the post office at the time. Someone walked up to me on my lunch break and said, hey, I just want to let you know that Street Fighter 2 is out off base at a toy store for about $70, $80. And I didn't make a whole lot, being a kid. But believe me, if I was the first one gonna own the Street Fighter out of all my friends, you best believe that Steve Smith got that cash flow real quick. And I rushed off base right after work. And what did I come home with? At the time, I had a Super Nintendo. I finally upgraded and got a Super Nintendo after the Sega Master System because then, the new systems for Sega was out, and they had the Super Nintendo after Nintendo. So I went ahead and went out and bought this thing for $80 US cash. Even the original from a Japanese toy store, I went out and got this. Still Japanese writing on the back, on the side, and cartridge is in Japanese form. Now you may say to yourself, and kids, this is something you may never know that they used to do. They used to have manuals inside games. When you bought games, they had manuals. So kids like me at the time would go home and just look at this art, even though it's all in Japanese. But still, the art, I mean, come on. That's what we want when we buy a game. We want to buy the box, the game, and some art. You know what we get now when we buy a Street Fighter game? I'll show you what we buy now. See that? If you're lucky, you get a piece of paper that shows you all the licensing. You don't get nothing now. This is what you get in a CD. You don't get no cartridge. You don't get no manual. And I had to upgrade to the Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And believe me, this is what started all fighting games for me. You know what I mean? Like, we'd stay the night at each other's house, and we would have these big old, what do you want to call them, slumber parties? I don't know. There's the cartridge. Even in the plastic, boys and girls. This is a very good retro game. Yes, this is when Street Fighter turned up a notch. Turn up for what? Crazy, crazy, crazy times. We would stay up all night and play. even getting like almost physical fist fights over this because that's how personal it was to people. I'd play Dalsum or Dialism, whatever you want to call it, and I would just play the keep away. Boom! Kick it from the distance. Boom! Kick it from the distance. Get away. Don't come close. And if you do, I'll throw a nice breath of fire on you. And believe me, some of my friends got very upset. You want to take this outside? It never got physical, but that's just how important Street Fighter was at the time to everybody. They even had, before this came out on console, it was all about after school, going to the arcades, putting the quarter down, saying, I got next. You guys will never witness that, because now there is hardly any arcades, and you're lucky to find a Street Fighter arcade machine. But everybody, there is my retro gaming stuff, and I don't have a crazy wall of collection on this. Isn't a retro gaming channel, but I got lots of stuff I want to share with you guys, stuff I've been thinking about, stuff that I've kept in the past that I think I can share with you guys, and you know, a little bit about my history and past and stuff I've collected and things. So hope you enjoyed it, and if you ever get a chance to check out the Sega Master System game, please do. You won't be doing it here because my system's broke. I gotta go buy a new one. But I do have some games for it. Hey, come on over if you have a Sega Master System. Hey, come on over. Anyways, everybody, like I always say, going on too long. Later.
I love